So today is the last and concluding session, 25, on the second part of the chapter 18 of Bhagavad Gita, conclusion, the perfection of renunciation. We might have an optional session next week, but we'll take your suggestions and think about it. So, as I said, this chapter is fairly long one. So we have divided it in two sessions. Even the recitation is going up to 18 minutes. So we recited half the chapter, the last session, and we'll do the remaining now. Can you hear and see me? See my screen properly?
असक्त बुद्धिः सर्वत्र जितात्मा विगतस्पृहः नैष्कर्म्यसिद्धिं परमां संन्यासेनाधिगच्छति सिद्धिं प्राप्तो यथा ब्रह्म तथाप्नोति निबोध मे समासेनैव कौन्तेय निष्ठा ज्ञानस्य या परा बुद्ध्या विशुद्धया युक्तो धृत्यात्मानं नियम्य च शब्दादीन् विषयान् त्यक्त्वा रागद्वेषौ युगस्य च विविक्तसेवी लग्भाषी यतवाक्कायमानसः ध्यानयोगपरो नित्यं वैराग्यं समुपाश्रितः अहङ्कारं बलं दर्पं कामं क्रोधं परिग्रहम् विमुच्य निर्ममः शान्तो ब्रह्मभूयाय कल्पते ब्रह्मभूतः प्रसन्नात्मा न शोचति न काङ्क्षति समः सर्वेषु भूतेषु मद्भक्तिं लभते पराम् भक्त्या मामभिजानाति यावान्यश्चास्मि तत्त्वतः ततो मां तत्त्वतो ज्ञात्वा विशते तदनन्तरम् सर्वकर्माण्यपि तदा कुर्वाणो मद्व्यपाश्रयः मत्प्रसादादवाप्नोति शाश्वतं पदमव्ययम् चेतसा सर्वकर्माणि मयि सन्न्यस्य मत्परः बुद्धियोगमुपाश्रित्य मच्चित्तः सततं भव मच्चित्तः सर्वदुर्गाणि मत्प्रसादात् तरिष्यसि अथ चेत्त्वमहङ्कारान् न श्रोष्यसि विनङ्क्ष्यसि यदहङ्कारमाश्रित्य न योत्स्य इति मन्यसे मिथ्यैष व्यवसायस्ते प्रकृतिस्वामी योक्ष्यसि स्वभावजेन कौन्तेय निबद्धस्वेन कर्मणा कर्तुं नेच्छसि यन्मोहात् करिष्यसि वशोऽपि तत् ईश्वरः सर्वभूतानां हृद्देशेऽर्जुन तिष्ठति भ्रामयं सर्वभूतानि यन्त्रारूढानि मायया तमेव शरणं गच्छ सर्वभावेन भारत तत्प्रसादात् परां शान्तिं स्थानं प्राप्स्यसि शाश्वतम् इति ते ज्ञानमाख्यातं गुह्यात् गुह्यतरं मया विमृशैतदशेषेण यथेच्छसि तथा कुरु सर्वगुह्यतमं भूयः शृणु मे परमं वचः इष्टोऽसि मे दृढमिति ततो वक्ष्यामि ते हितम् मन्मना भव मद्भक्तो मत्याजी मां नमस्कुरु मामे वैश्यसि सत्यं ते प्रतिजाने प्रियोऽसि मे सर्वधर्मान् परित्यज्य मामेकं शरणं व्रज अहं त्वां सर्वपापेभ्यो मोक्षयिष्यामि मा शुचः इदं ते नातपस्काय नाभक्ताय कदाचन न च शुश्रूषवे वाच्यं न च मां योऽभ्यसूयते यदिदं परमं गुह्यं मद्भक्तेष्वभिधास्यति भक्तिं मयि परां कृत्वा मामे वैश्यत्य संशयः न च तस्मान् मनुष्येषु कश्चिन्मे प्रियकृत्तमः भविता न च मे तस्मादन्यः प्रियकरो भुवि अध्येष्यते च यैनं धर्म्यं संवादमावयोः ज्ञानयज्ञेन तेनाहमिष्टस्यामिति मे मतिः श्रद्धावाननसूयश्च शृणुयादपि यो नरः सोऽपि मुक्तः शुभालोकान् प्राप्नुयात् पुण्यकर्मणाम् कच्चिदेतच्छ्रुतं पार्थ त्वयैकाग्रेण चेतसा कच्चिदज्ञानसम्मोहः प्रणष्टस्ते धनञ्जय अर्जुन उवाच नष्टो मोहस्मृतिर्लब्धा त्वत्प्रसादान्मयाच्युत स्थितोऽस्मि गतसन्देहः करिष्ये वचनं तव सञ्जय उवाच इत्यहं वासुदेवस्य पार्थस्य च महात्मनः संवादमिममश्रोषमद्भुतं रोमहर्षणम् व्यासप्रसादाच्छ्रुतवानेतत् गुह्यमहं परम् योगं योगेश्वरात् कृष्णात् साक्षात् कथयतः स्वयम् राजन् संस्मृत्य संवादमिममद्भुतम् केशवार्जुनयोः पुण्यं दृश्यामि च मुहुर्मुहुः तच्च संस्मृत्य रूपमत्यद्भुतं हरेः विस्मयो मे महान् राजन् दृश्यामि च पुनः पुनः यत्र योगेश्वरः कृष्णो यत्र पार्थो धनुर्धरः तत्र श्रीविजयो भूतिर्ध्रुवा नीतिर्मतिर्मम ॐ तत्सदिति श्रीमद्भगवद्गीतासु उपनिषत्सु ब्रह्मविद्यायां योगशास्त्रे श्रीकृष्णार्जुनसंवादे मोक्षसंन्यासयोगो नाम अष्टादशोऽध्यायः। शान्ताकारं भुजगशयनं पद्मनाभं सुरेशं विश्वाधारं गगनसदृशं मेघवर्णं शुभाङ्गं लक्ष्मीकान्तं कमलनयनं योगिभिर्ध्यानगम्यं वन्दे विष्णुं भवभयहरं सर्वलोकैकनाथम्। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे।
Hare Krishna, welcome all the participants for this 25th session of the Bhagavad course on Bhagavad Gita, second part of the 18th chapter entitled Conclusion, the Perfection of Renunciation. So thank you all for staying with us throughout the entire course. It was quite long sessions, but still we thought it would give the Bhagavad Gita in its full substance and its practical application. We'll do the invocation like usual. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Gnananjanashalakaya Chakkhurunmilitam Mena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Mena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Shwapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padhan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dheena Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavadishri Vrishabhanashuke Devi Pranamami Haripriye Panchakalpatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Brinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So this invocation basically connects us through the disciplic succession. As we know, this Bhagavad Gita knowledge is coming from Lord Krishna through Brahma, Narada, Vyasa, all the acharyas and the gurus. So when we recite these prayers, we become empowered to speak this knowledge, which we may not be able to do by ourselves. We'll begin our presentation on this second session. Before I do the main section for today, we'll also try to summarize what we did in the last session. At the end of this session, we'll also do a summary of the 18 chapters, quick summary. And if you all want it, we can have a comprehensive session next week by some of the senior members from whom I learned during this past 25 years. So that we'll anyway discuss with you during the week and let you know whether it is there. As far as the certificates for this course are concerned, that is to ensure that you actively participate. So the email was sent and you please kindly fill in the details of your particular sessions you attended, quizzes you completed, and so that we can prepare them and send it to you. So this chapter is entitled Moksha Sannyasa Yoga. Moksha means how to become free by accepting what is beneficial and rejecting what is not so required. So this chapter is entitled Perfection of Renunciation. Can you see the screen properly and hear me clearly?
Yes, Prabhu, both very clear.
Yes. So as I told last session, the perfection of our life is to know when to accept something and when to reject something. It's not that we completely accept or completely reject. Everything has its proper utility, and that comes with proper knowledge, understanding, and application. So this chapter is about the freedom from bondage. Bondage means we have to, the living entity has to be active all the time because that is its original nature. But when we don't know how to perform activity or what should be our attitude while performing this activity, we become bound to the three modes which limit our activities. Whereas the soul is free to do activities, but because it associates with the three modes, it's not able to function properly. So Arjuna has inquired about sannyasa means what I should accept, and tyaga means what I should renounce or give up, detach. So then Krishna tells about how there are two opinions on tyaga. Some people think that renunciation in the three, that people think that you have to stop activities, and other people feel that we have to stop the attachment to the results of the activity. Then Krishna talked about the renunciation in the three modes. As we saw in the last chapter, 17th chapter, Krishna talked about faith in the three modes. So accordingly, renunciation also either transcendental or within the three modes. So what is true renunciation? Krishna explains that is when you work for Krishna, for the satisfaction of Krishna as directed by Krishna, that is true renunciation and leads to success. So there are 5 factors Krishna talked about, how the body, the living entity, the senses, then the effort, and the super soul. Ultimately, the super soul is the sanctioner and witness of all the activities. So we should understand that we are not the only doer, and without these 5 factors, we cannot be successful. Then Krishna talked about the 3 motivations for action, that is knowledge, object of knowledge, and the knower. And then the 3 constitution of action, which is the work, the endeavor, the senses, and the work, the senses, and the doer. Then Krishna talked about knowledge in the 3 modes and work in the 3 modes, the worker in the 3 modes, intelligence of or understanding, buddhi in the 3 modes, determination and happiness in the 3 modes. So having said how these three modes are influencing all aspects of our life, Krishna talked about Varnashrama Dharma, that is the according to our qualities and abilities. If Sattva means Brahmana, Sattva and Rajoguna Kshatriya, Rajoguna and Tamoguna Vaishya, and Tamoguna Shudra, and Brahmachari, that is social order. Brahmachari means celibate life, Grihastha means married life, Vanaprastha means retired life, Sannyasa means renounced life. Renounced means he accepts more and more responsibility to lead the society and engages them in all sides of beneficial activities. It doesn't mean he detaches himself from society. In fact, he contributes more to society as a sannyasi. But then Krishna said that one should follow these prescribed duties according to one's eligibility and not try to do someone else's duty. It's better to do one's own duty imperfectly than try to imitate the duties of others, because it is dangerous. And then Krishna talks about the how to be situated in the Brahman platform. So this is for the soul. As we saw in the second chapter, Krishna has talked about the difference between the body and the soul. So how to act on the platform of the soul? Varnashrama Dharma is basically for those who are in the bodily conscious, and the body has been acquired by the activities in the past, and it is according to the three modes. So we are very much restricted by the body, mind, and ego, or the intelligence. So we can function accordingly to the Varnashrama Dharma. But then what about the soul? So that is being highlighted in this section. So Krishna talks about the confidential knowledge. Confidential means it's the most beneficial thing. The perfect stage of sannyasa and the process of attaining Brahman. As we saw, sannyasa can be practiced in 4 different levels: Kutichak, Bahudak, Parivrajakachar, and Paramahamsa. And then Krishna talks about Brahmabhuta Prasannatma na shochati na kankshati, how one can become free from lamentation and hankering. Lamentation over loss and hankering over gain. Then Krishna also encourages one to go beyond the Brahmabhuta stage. That is by which one can know Krishna and attain his abode. That is pure devotional service. Again and again, this concept is being mentioned, because even if we realize ourselves, we should always remember our connection with God and what is our duty, and then what is the perfection of that duty. So Krishna highlights about the acting in Krishna consciousness, which he has emphasized throughout, about pure bhakti, and what is the result of working and not working in Krishna consciousness. In other words, what is the benefit of doing bhakti and what is the drawbacks of not doing bhakti. And the next more confidential knowledge is knowing about ourselves, and more confidential knowledge is surrendering to the super soul, who is giving us knowledge, remembrance, and forgetfulness, is residing in our heart as Paramatma. And most confidential knowledge is surrendered to Lord Krishna. And that benefit is awarded because Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He can simultaneously benefit all the living entities, because all living entities are Mamayvamsha, Jiva Loke, Jiva Bhutasana. They are eternally connected with the Supreme Lord, and therefore Krishna can reciprocate individually with all the living entities, and that is the most confidential knowledge. So there Krishna, just like Arjuna surrendered to Krishna and he could win such a difficult battle, we can also attain success, like as concluded by Sanjay in this chapter. In the conclusion, Krishna mentions about what is the glory of studying and teaching Bhagavad Gita, why one should study this Bhagavad Gita and why one should give this knowledge to others. And then what were the realizations of Arjuna? What did he understand from Bhagavad Gita, and what are the realizations of Sanjaya, who was narrating this to the Dhritarashtra? So in the previous chapters, the description of various systems of yoga had been presented. Of course, I'm sorry, I will not go through this because we already did. Now we'll come to this section, which is from the 49th verse, about the Brahman platform. Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan in 3 stages of understanding the absolute truth. Brahman platform is all-pervasive feature. we know that living entities are everywhere. And that is the all-pervasive feature. And without that living spirit, there cannot be any activity. Matter cannot function by itself unless it is, just like this pandemic is also, why the virus is so devastating, because there are living entities and they're being affected. So this Brahman platform is confidential. Many people don't know that there's a soul and what are the properties of the soul. So that is confidential knowledge. And in this section, Krishna describes the transition from reaction-free work. What is reaction-free work? Every work we do will produce a reaction. That is the law of even Newton, third law, every action has an equal and opposite reaction. So, but at the same, what does it mean, reaction-free work? It's a reaction-free work where the reaction does not affect our work. How is that possible? Through Jnana Yoga. Jnana means knowledge, and that yoga with yoga. Knowledge everyone can have, even the animals have some knowledge, the intelligence. But yoga means it should be directed by the supreme knowledgeable person. And by that way, one can reach the Brahman platform. Just like the power is there, as long as the power is there, my system is working. So similarly, I can remind myself that I am the spirit soul only when I am connected with the Supreme Lord, Supreme Brahman or Parabrahman. The moment I break my connection with the Parabrahman, I forget about myself. So that is our nature, because we are fallible. And that is possible through pure devotional service. When you enter pure devotional service, Ananya Bhakti, Amala Bhakti, Kevala Bhakti, then we are attracting Krishna. And when we attract Krishna, and all the unwanted things can become free. We can become free from all the unwanted anarthas. So what is the perfection of Jnana Yoga? The perfection of knowledge is to understand the nature of the self and its relationship with Krishna. So some people know that we are spirit soul, but they do not know that their connection with the Supreme Lord, Krishna. And thus Bhakti is the culmination of Jnana. So Krishna talked about reaction-free work through Jnana Yoga, and how to attain the Brahman platform and go beyond the Brahman platform through pure Bhakti and realize our connection with the Supreme Lord. Now, the first type of sannyasi gives up the doership mentality in work. So, and attachment to the results of the work. Even as I said, there are different types of sannyasis or progressions in the process of renunciation. So one is to think that I'm not the only doer. Why? Because we talked about the 5 factors of action, and therefore I cannot claim the entire ownership of the results also. Just like if you're working in a team, I cannot claim the results of the team effort. And when that sannyasi perfects his sadhana over time, then he gives up the work completely. So then once he has perfected his mentality, then there's no need for him to do certain activities. Just like when you're a child, for the purpose of learning, you had to do some things by repetition. But once you grow up, that is not necessary for you. So similarly, as a sannyasi progresses, he can avoid certain activities which a common man has to do. Mandatory things. There are something mandatory for a common man, which a sannyasi need not do. That is called yoga ruda. Yoga rurukshu means he is the beginning of the yoga ladder, and yoga ruda means he has perfected the yoga process. And so that is the second type of sannyasa that Krishna mentions now. What is the perfect stage of sannyasa? First stage of sannyasa, he avoids certain works. He does the work without attachment to the result. The highest stage, he can even avoid the work itself. So who is that? Who is eligible for that? Now, artificially, we cannot imitate this position. To avoid some responsibility, we cannot avoid some duties. Sorry. So one whose intelligence is detached from all material objects. Asakta buddhi sarvatra. So what does it mean, detached from all material objects? Every object, you can treat it as material. Material means it has short-term use. But some people know the eternal value of certain things. So detached from the all material objects. If you start using it for short-term benefit, then it becomes a material object. But when you know its eternal value, then it's no longer material. And asakta buddhi sarvatma, whose mind is controlled, jitatma. So how is that possible? When his mind is controlled. Because the mind is always saying you accept this, accept, reject, like, don't like. But because his mind is controlled, he knows how much time is required to be attached to that and how much time it should be detached from that. Just like if you have a mobile phone, some people are all the time on the mobile phone or they don't use it at all. So both are not ideal. So mind is controlled who is without material desires. So what is material desire? Means some desires which are not long lasting. Vigata spriha. Because these material desires, they come and go. And it's no point in trying to those fleeting desires. How is it possible? By complete renunciation of all activities. What does it mean? Does it mean stopping activities? It means you know when an activity should be performed and when it should not be done. That is the perfection of renunciation. That is known as sannyasa. And then one attains the highest perfection of no action and reaction. If you do like this, if you know when to do something and when to not do something, then that is known as the naishkarmyam. You are not producing any reaction according to your time, place, circumstances. If you keep on doing your work perfectly, then nothing can stop you. Why people become stuck at one point? Because they don't know when not to do something or when to do something. So then Krishna talks about how to attain this stage of Brahman. By cessation of all work. One realizes Brahman, the stage of highest knowledge. As I said, there is something which the body has to do and something which the soul has to do. And at some times you have to devote more time for the soul. So that is meaning of cessation of all work. Then one realizes Brahman. So all the time you cannot be acting on the bodily platform. Sometimes you have to devote time for the spiritual. Just like your vehicle is there, driver is driving the vehicle and the fuel for the vehicle is the petrol. But doesn't mean the driver will not eat and just keep on filling the petrol to the car. He also has to eat something or take some rest or something like that. So this realizing Brahman is the stage of highest knowledge or jnana, because that is the one which is driving the body also. So now here the process of realizing that how to realize Brahman, what is realize Brahman, how to understand it and act on that. So Krishna is talking about the process of attaining Brahman or Brahma Bhuta stage. Bhuta means to know, to realize that we are the spirit soul. Buddhaya Vishuddhaya Yukto. Buddhaya means intelligence. Vishuddhaya means purified. Just like you have something, you purify it and purify it to make it 99.9%, then it's the most valuable. Similarly, the intelligence has to be purified by further and further refined knowledge and understanding and application. Dhrityatmanam. Dhritya means determination. Atmanam means the mind. Atma can mean mind, it can mean body, it can mean the soul. And niyama means controlling. And shabdadhin. Shabda means sound. Adhin means vishayans. Vishayans means sense objects. Sense object means we see something, we hear something, smell, taste, touch, or it can mean the eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and skin. Tyaktva, giving up. Giving up doesn't mean you close your eyes, close your mouth, close your ears, close your eyes. No, to know how much importance you should give to that, because our knowledge begins with our sense perception. But at the same time, we have to understand it properly, what we hear, smell, taste. So that is the meaning of giving up. And raga dvesha. Raga means attachment, dvesha means repulsion. Vyudasya means being freed. Excessive attachment, excessive repulsion is not Just like if you take too much salt or no salt or too much oil, no oil, it is not good. Then Vivikta Sevi, Lagvashi. Vivikta means secluded place. Sevi means living in a secluded place. What does secluded place mean? Doesn't mean you go to the forest. It means that you should train yourself in such a way that even if there's some people around you, you don't get influenced or disturbed by them. And Lagvashi means eating little. Eating little means accepting as much as required. Doesn't mean only eating food. Whatever resources are required, as much, just like in the World War, they developed all the optimization packages because that time there was very shortage of resources. So similarly, how with the little resources, how to manage my life. That is Lagvashi. Yata vak kaya manasaha. Vak means mind, kaya means body, manasa means mind. Yata, controlling one's speech, body, and mind. Dhyana yoga paro nityam. Dhyana means meditation. Yoga means absorption. Paro nityam means on the Lord. And vairagyam means detachment. Samupashrataha, taking shelter of. How is that? When do we know to whom to attach and how to detach? When we take shelter of the most important things in life, then we can know when to accept something, when to detach it. That's all, like time management. When you set your priorities, then automatically you know how much time, how much energy, how much resources I have to dedicate for each of the thing. Similarly, if you take shelter of the Lord, who is our well-wisher and the benefactor, and he knows everything for our benefit, then we will know how to practice detachment. Ahankaram balam darpam. Ahankara means false ego. Ego is required. Without ego, there is no sense of identity. But false ego means supposing you are supposed to do something and you presume something and start doing something else. That is false ego. Ahankaram. Balam means false strength. Strength is required, but if your weakness you take as a strength and a strength becomes your weakness, then that is false strength. Darpam means pride, false pride. You should be pride. You should have some pride about your whatever you, but you should not have false pride. And that's why you call it a modesty. And then kamam, false lust. Desire must be there, but if desire is misplaced, then it becomes lust. And krodham, anger. Anger is required, but anger becomes misplaced, then it becomes false anger. Parigraham, material possessions. We have to have some possessions, but we should not hold on to something which you cannot hold on forever. Vimuchya means free. Nirmama means false proprietorship. Something belongs to me, and if something does not belong to me and I claim it to be mine, that is known as false proprietorship. And it means that we will eventually lose it if you fail. And Shanta means peaceful. Why is he peaceful? He knows which desire to fulfill and which desire not to fulfill or attempt to fulfill. And like an ocean without waves, just like if an ocean is there, it becomes solid like ice, then there is no waves. Or the ocean becomes very deep also, then there is no waves. So Brahma Bhujaya Kalpate. Brahma means realize the self or the soul. Bhujaya means know, attaining. Kalpate. Such a person can attain Brahman self-realization. So in this stage of Brahma Bhuta, what is the benefit? One is completely devoid of all contamination of the material modes. Just like if you are on the boat and whatever waves are coming in the ocean, they will not disturb you. In fact, they benefit you, they help you to move forward. So similarly, a Brahmabhuta person is devoid of all contamination of the material modes, although he is within the body. That is the point. Just like a lotus is there, it is in the water, but is not touched by the water and becomes fully joyful. The three modes, they are making you joyful and again miserable, peaceful and disturbed, all these dualities. But one who is free from the contamination, he becomes fully joyful, always peaceful, and a pure soul, which means he can attract Krishna himself and attract other living entities. That's why he is Prasannatma. He is always happy. Why? After realizing oneself in this way, one can attain pure bhakti unto Lord Krishna. When he does pure bhakti, he immediately connects with Krishna, just like a pure magnet is there, pure iron is there. They immediately attract each other. So our pure conductor is there. It immediately conducts the electricity without producing any resistance or heat. So like this pure bhakti immediately attracts Krishna, and immediately he knows what to do, what not to do. Now, further Krishna explains about this Brahmabhuta stage to how to progress beyond the Brahmabhuta stage, beyond realizing myself. What is there further to achieve in life? That is Bhagavan realization. On the way, there are some further steps which Krishna will explain. Brahmabhuta Prasannatma. How do I know that I have reached this Brahmabhuta stage? How do I know that I have transcended the three modes? He is Prasannatma. One who is thus situated at once realizes the supreme moment becomes fully joyful. Just like if you are in the association of a very joyful person, you also become joyful. If you are in the association of a miserable person, you also feel miserable. So when he is on the Brahmabhuta stage, he realizes that I am qualitatively one with God, and therefore he is fully joyful. He has no, just like God has nothing to lament on. Na shochati na kankshati. What is the meaning of joyful? When can we say I am joyful? When you neither lament nor desire anything. Why doesn't he lament? Because he knows that he has nothing to lose. The soul has nothing to lose in this world, and he doesn't need anything also, or desires anything. He is fully self-sufficient. The soul is self-sufficient. It doesn't lose anything. Nothing can be taken away from it. Nothing can be added to it. And samas sarveshu bhuteshu is equally disposed toward every living entity. He sees all other living entities like himself. Then either they're enjoying more than him or suffering more than him. So he is happy to be associated with people, all kinds of people. And he doesn't have, this is a friend, this is an enemy, this is a neutral. That concept is not there. Madbhaktim labade param. In that state, beyond the modes, he attains pure devotional service unto me. So because at this stage, he turns attention to the Supreme Lord. Just like I am a rich person. I see a person is much more rich than me, then naturally I become attracted to him. But if you think I'm a poor man, then you hesitate to go and meet a rich person. So when a person realizes that he is spirit soul and there is a supreme spirit, then naturally he becomes attracted to him. The Brahmabhuta stage of self-realization and liberation is the final aspiration of an impersonal. Some people think that if I realize myself, that's ultimate. I need not go beyond it. But bhakti is beyond Brahman realization. A personalist, a pure devotee, aspires to do bhakti or pure devotional unto Lord Krishna. Just like some satellites are there, they are able to leave the Earth's orbit. But there are some satellites which can go to the nearest planet also, or even go beyond the other planets. So similarly, some people are able to become free from the three modes, but still they are not properly engaged in their constitutional position. A devotee is already in a state of liberation or oneness with the absolute. So devotee means he is always thinking what God wants me to do. How just like Arjuna was successful in the battle of Kurukshetra, they were also Brahmabhuta people. They are already liberated people were there, but still they did not know what they were supposed to do. So therefore, they could not do the greatest benefit to others. But when Arjuna was there, he could understand exactly what Krishna wanted him to do and he could achieve it. Without being one with the Lord on a spiritual platform, one cannot render service unto him. Just like sometimes one American president, he went to Japan. So he didn't play with an ordinary person, tennis. He wanted to play tennis. He didn't choose to play with an ordinary person. He chose to play with the prime minister himself. He is prime minister or president and he chose to play with. Similarly, when we realize that to come to platform of devotion, you should also be in the spiritual platform. Just like all of you have come, this means that you have some interest in devotion. So in bhakti, one can know Krishna and attain his abode. So what is the benefit of doing bhakti? As Krishna talked in the 8th chapter of attaining the supreme, what is the benefit of attaining the... So here attaining means it's not that you have to travel somewhere. Wherever you may be situated, just like the American embassy is in India, but it belongs to the American country. Similarly, even though you may be in wherever you may be, you can still be situated in the Lord's abode because you have direct connection. Bhaktyamam abhijanati. So only one who is a devotee, only by devotional service, abhijanati, one can understand me. Just like if you want to understand some subject, you have to practice that subject. If you're a qualified doctor, you have to practice medicine. And yavan yaschasmi tattvataha. In truth, If you want to understand it perfectly as I am, he's saying, you may know something about God, but that is not sufficient. If you want to understand exactly as what Lord wants him to know him, one can understand me as I am, as the Supreme Personality Godhead. To understand that God is the Supreme Person and is supreme, is a person and is Godhead is not so easy. So if he is unable to understand this absolute truth, it is possible only by devotional service. It means there is a particular process one has to adopt. And tato mam tattvato jnatva. And when one thus knows me fully in truth, tattvato jnatva means fully in truth. Half knowledge is also dangerous. How is that possible? In full consciousness of me. The consciousness, that's what the modern sciences, they're talking about consciousness studies. Because according to our consciousness, your level of knowledge keeps on advancing. And Vishate Tat Anantaram. He can enter the spiritual world, the king. Anantaram means after the completion of this, he will be perfect in this present world and also in the future world. Vishate Tad Anantaram. He is perfect in the present and in the future also. So Krishna is revealed to everyone. He and his expansion, the incarnation cannot be understood by scholarship or speculation. Now Krishna expands himself into many expansions and incarnations for different purposes. But he can be understood not by academic learning, just by studying some books. If you want to become a doctor, just by doing some Google search or by reading some books, you cannot. You have to be trained by a qualified doctor. He is known only by performing bhakti under the guidance of a pure bhakta. So to understand bhakti, you have to take the guidance of another pure devotee. Just like if you want to become a doctor, you should become trained by a qualified doctor. And you should not enough. You also have to do something from your side. And having described how a jnani progresses step by step by giving up the results of work. So what is giving up work, results of work? That is, every result you get, you should know how to utilize it to do more work. And then the work itself attains liberation. So liberation means he has perfected the art of doing work. And Krishna will now explain how his devotee attains him. How does one go beyond perfection, perfection of perfection? That is pure bhakti acting in Krishna consciousness. Exactly as Krishna tells, when you do, then you will not be entangled. In fact, you will be victorious, as we see at the end of the Bhagavad Gita. So we also want to be successful in life. We want to be happy in life. We want to have full knowledge about what we are doing. We want to overcome miseries in life. That is possible if we act in pure bhakti or Krishna consciousness. So what is the, if you work for Krishna and if you don't work in Krishna consciousness, what are the consequences? Krishna will be explaining now. So if you act in bhakti, it leads to Krishna's abode. Sarva karmani api sada kurvano mad vyapasrayaha. My pure devotee, doing all kinds of activities always is under my protection. So which means the pure devotee doesn't mean you don't do some, you are not capable of doing something or you won't do something. He will do whatever is required. You ask him to do anything, like he is willing to do, but always under my protection, which means he is always taking guidance from Krishna at every step of his life, either directly or through the spiritual master or through referring to the scriptures. So that means the under my protection, because he's Sarva Karmani means all kinds of. Sada means always. There's no activity which he cannot do. He's so versatile, ambidextrous. And Sada always is not that sometimes he follows, sometimes he doesn't follow. Vyapashraya. Ashraya means under my protection. He's always looking for guidance, like Arjuna. Mat prasadat avapnuti. Prasadat means mercy. So every step when he is acting according to Krishna direction, he gets a feedback from Krishna. Yes, you're doing right. No, you're doing wrong. So that is mercy. And he reaches. Avapnoti reaches. What does he read? Shashvatam padam abhyayam. The eternal and imperishable abode of mind. I'm hearing some background noise. Please mute participant. So abhyaya means imperishable. Shashvata means eternal. Abode of mind. What is the abode of the Lord? There we never forget our original identity and we never do wrong. And whatever we are doing, we are able to perform forever without cessation. And so therefore, work in Krishna consciousness. If you want to work in this way and attain this result, Chetasa sarva karmani. Chetasa means whatever action you do. Sarva karmani, offer Mayi sanyasya matparaha. Mayi sanyasya means offer all your activities. What does offer all your activities? Do as directed by me, as directed by the scriptures, as directed by the spiritual master. Chetasa sarva karmani. Mayi sanyasya matparaha. Paraha means supreme. Offer all your activities unto me and just depend on my protection, making me the goal of your life. And Buddhi Yogam Upasritya. Taking Upasritya means taking shelter, Buddhi Yogam or Bhakti Yoga with fixed intelligence. Because we don't have a fixed intelligence. But if you work under the direction of a person who has fixed intelligence, then our intelligence also becomes fixed. So the person who's fixed intelligence is no better than no one other than God. So if we work under his direction, then our intelligence also becomes fixed. And Matchitta Satam Bhava. Chitta means conscious. Matchit me, conscious of me. Satatam means always. Bhava means become. Offering all your activities unto me and just depend on my protection. So do your best and leave the rest, they say. So leave the rest means leave the rest on God. Offer your activities unto me and just depend on my protection, making me the goal of your life. So three things are there. You have to do activity, and while doing that activity, we should know what's the goal of the activity and how that activity has to be performed. And take shelter of Bhakti Yoga with fixed intelligence. We have to follow this process, and to follow this process, our intelligence should be fixed. And how is that possible? By being conscious of me, or being aware of me, remembering him. So acting in Krishna consciousness means to act under the direction of the Supreme Lord, just like a faithful servant, not independently. Our real independence is to be dependent on Krishna. Then only we can be fully independent. Acting according to the direction of Krishna in Bhagavad Gita and acting under the guidance of bona fide Guru, Krishna are the same. So one may ask, I don't have Krishna. Arjuna had Krishna in front of him, so that every moment he could take direction. So what about me? So Krishna is giving the benefit of that same benefit through the spiritual master or the scriptures. While working according to Krishna's orders, one naturally has to think of Krishna. So someone is given an order, automatically you start thinking about it and acting on it. And that is perfect Krishna consciousness. So what is the result of working in this way? Machitta sarva durghani. Durghani means all the obstacles. Machitta means if you become conscious of me. What does conscious of me means? You are able to remember. Supposing you learned something and if you are able to remember it at the time of the exam, then you will pass. And even if you study and you don't remember or you don't know how to apply it, then you fail. So if you become conscious of me, you will cross over all obstacles in life. Mat prasad darishyasi, by my grace. So what is the obstacles arising due to? The obstacles are created by us only. And therefore, we have to overcome our obstacles. Nobody can remove our obstacles unless we do some effort. So, but Krishna will guide us on how to overcome the obstacle. That we have to do. And that is the grace of Krishna. He is willing to guide, and that is his grace. And we have to accept. For one who acts in Krishna consciousness, Krishna, everywhere you say Krishna, you talk about a supreme absolute truth. Krishna becomes the most intimate friend. So what is the intimate friend? A friend in need is a friend indeed. So whenever you need him most, Krishna is there to guide us and always looks after his friend's comfort. What is the only mission of Krishna? Is trying to look about our comfort. Krishna gives himself to his friend and removes all his sufferings. That is the Krishna is waiting to do that. He wants, if we give to him, he wants to give himself to us, and he wants to help us overcome our shortcomings. And what is the result of not following Krishna? Atachetvam ahankaran. Why does one doesn't want to follow Krishna? Ahankar, out of pride or false ego. Na shroshyasi vinankshyasi. Shroshyasi means you will do not hear me. I don't care whatever Bhagavad Gita says or whatever this devotees say, whatever scriptures say. I will go by my experience and others' experience. If you think like that, out of pride and false ego, you will perish. Because Krishna knows past, present, and future. He knows what has happened to such people in the past, what is happening now, and what's going to happen. So Krishna is warning Arjuna that I have told you for your benefit, ultimate benefit, and if you do not know, follow, what will happen also. And one who works as per this, but if someone says, I don't care about all this, I will do as per my nature, whatever I feel like doing, whatever I'm convinced about, out of false identity, ahankara, and illusion, moha, if you think of not fighting, if at the beginning of the Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna said, I think the best thing for me is not to fight. Such resolve is only misdirection. If you think I will just follow the dictation of my mind and not care about this instruction, even against your own will, you will fight anyway. Eventually, you will have to force to fight. Some people artificially they renounce some responsibility. Like for example, they keep postponing and saying that I don't like to do, but ultimately they are forced to do. Supposing you don't want to eat something, and the stage may come and you have no other option but to eat that only. So similarly, if you go against your own will, you will fight anyway. You will end up doing things which you don't want to do. Why? Because you are bound by actions arising from your Kshatriya nature. Already you have acquired some nature by the which is bound by the three modes. Once you have acquired the nature, suddenly you cannot say, I will not do according to that nature. Supposing you have already done so much effort in become a lawyer or a doctor, and suddenly you say, no, I'm not interested in that, I want to do something else. That is going to put you in trouble eventually. So voluntarily acting according to the law's direction. So Lord doesn't want to force us to act according to his will. Why he is for, even if he is forcing us, it is for our ultimate benefit. But if we voluntarily act, then we can get more direction from Krishna at every step. So it keeps one safe in all situations, because if we don't act according to the directions of the Lord, we end up inviting problems. Because no one can ascertain one's identity as the Supreme Lord can. Because the problem is we ourselves don't know who we are, what I'm supposed to do, what will be the consequence. So that Krishna is there to remind us every now and then by giving knowledge, remembrance, and forgetfulness. Otherwise, he is compelled to act by the modes of material nature. If you don't follow the instruction of Krishna, someone else will come and dictate and say, you do like this, you do like that. And you may be misled in that process. Seeing that, just like if you don't know a good lawyer or a good doctor, there will always be people waiting for to mislead you. Seeing that Arjuna still seemed to have false concept, thinking he knew everything, and because of Arjuna's humility to give that up, so still Krishna thought Arjuna has not perfected his listening. So he teaches him in different ways in the next two verses. He goes a little further. So first step is Brahman realization. The next stage is Paramatma realization. How Krishna is willing to guide us as a neutral person. Sometimes your father is there. If he tells you too much also, you may not like it. So he will try to instruct you through someone else. So like that, as super soul, God directs us. So if at least you surrender to the super soul, that is more confidential knowledge. Ishvara Sarvabhutana. So what is the nature of that super soul? He is present in all living entities, in the heart of our consciousness. Without him, just like if the sun is not there, I cannot see. Similarly, without the Paramatma presence, I cannot know anything or understand or enjoy anything. So he is situated in the heart. Hriddesha means the heart means consciousness or Chetana. Desha means where is he situated. Arjuna means Tishtati. Supreme Lord is situated in the heart of all living entities, O Arjuna. Brahmayan Sarva Bhutani. He is directing the wanderings of all of them. Brahmayan means wanderings. The soul is wanting to change one body after another and do different types of activities. Only he is directing it. Sometimes a father wants to instruct the child, but the child is not listening. And he slowly, step by step, he tries to take the child forward. So he is Brahmayan Sarva Bhutani, all living entities. It's not that some living entities have the choice to follow his direction and not follow. Whether they like or not, they want it or not, they are following. Yantra Rudani Maya. How is it? Yantra, like a machine, like a mechanically they are following. Who are seated as a machine, the body under the spell of material energy, like a dolls, just like a puppet show is there. Some dolls are moving their hands and legs, but it is through the strings, and that strings are controlled by a person. So after changing bodies, the living entity forgets its past deeds. Krishna, the super soul in heart, the knower of the past, present, and future, remains as the witness of all his activities. So, like in the last life, I had some desires and I did some activities, and it ended abruptly. So then I got a new body, And Krishna reminds us that in the past life, you wanted to do this activity, which you can do this way. And then we do some activity. And again, we develop some desires. And to fulfill the desires, we do some activities, and that are also incomplete. Then again, we change another body. Throughout, he is witnessing and sanctioning. By his order, the material nature fashions a particular type of body. So he facilitates us by creating a body such that we will be able to fulfill our desires in such a way. Supposing you're traveling from place A to B, and you travel by one vehicle for some distance, and then you change the vehicle. So like that arrangement God is making, so that he may work according to his past desires. Right now, we are not acting according to the directions of the Lord. We are going as per our desires only. And then, so therefore, surrender unto super soul. Tam eva sharanam gacha. So he's saying, Krishna is saying that you surrender to this super soul who's present in all living entities. Supposing we ask you to do something, first question will arise is why I should do and who else is doing. So immediately you don't want to follow certain things. You want to know who else is doing that. So like we see some opinions of other people. So Krishna says, Tam eva sharanam gacha, take shelter of the super soul. Sarva bhavena bharata, with full devotion, all of heart's emotions. Sarva bhavena, wholeheartedly is saying. Tat prasadat param shanti. What is the why we should do like that? When you take when you are fully depending on the super soul, he becomes pleased by you. By his mercy, you will attain transcendental peace. He will tell you exactly what to do. Sthanam prapsyasi shashvatam. You will attain the supreme eternal abode. So after going through all these different situations in life, you will come to a situation where you are not disturbed. So the purpose of knowledge just revealed is to take shelter of the Lord. So what is the Krishna's objective? He is telling us to which is the most stable position in life. That is to depending on the super soul, because he is the one who is manipulating everything in this world. He is the orchestrating everything. So if you at least take shelter of him, then you know where you are going. The surrender to the super soul is for worshippers of Krishna's expansion of the super soul Paramatma, whereas the worshippers of Bhagavan surrender directly to the personality of Krishna. Now Krishna is going to go further and tell what is the benefit of directly surrendering to him. Just like you have agents of some company, and if you go to directly to the person, you get some benefit. Now do as you wish. After giving all this instruction, Krishna is saying, thus I explained to you this great confidential knowledge of the scripture, the means of understanding karma, bhakti, and jnana, all the 17 chapters. Deliberate on this fully, and then you do what you wish to do, whether you want to do karma yoga, jnana yoga, bhakti yoga, that choice God is giving. Iti te jnanam akyatam guhyat guhyataram. Guhyat means confidential, that is karma yoga. Guhyataram means this jnana yoga, and bhakti yoga is topmost. Iti te jnanam akyatam guhyat guhyataram maya vimrishyate asheshena yatechasu. But still Krishna is not going to force it on Arjuna. The conclusion, Yatechistha as you like, you may indicate that God does not interfere with our independence. Because ultimately, you can take a horse up to the water, but you cannot force it to drink. So bhakti is not something which is forced. Bhakti should come spontaneously. By our realization, he doesn't force anyone to act according to instructions, but gives knowledge and then allows people to act as per their choice. He's giving the knowledge, his understanding, and how to practice it. And according to how much we do that, we can take direction from God. So then Arjuna stood silently reviewing the very deep meaning of the Gita scripture. Now, still Arjuna has not understood the conclusion. Yes, he is collecting all the instructions. Then glancing at his dear friend, Krishna's merciful heart melted like a butter and he spoke. Sometimes you see your very dear child is there. You have told him everything. Still he is not clear what to do. So Krishna goes one step further. Oh, my dear friend Arjuna, I will now speak the essence of the whole scriptures in few verses. He wants to give the essence in very few verses. Just 2-3 verses is going to summarize the entire Bhagavad Gita. Forget about the difficulties in having to review everything. Supposing I have taken these 18 sessions or 25 sessions, still you may not recollect all that you read. So if I say the summary of this 25 sessions is so and so just in 5 minutes, then immediately grasp it. So Krishna is so merciful. Thus the following verses reveal the essence of Bhagavad Gita to be applied in everyone's life. So we've all along been talking about application of Bhagavad Gita. What is it really we have to apply? Bhagavad Gita is taught in the next 2 verses. And so it is about surrendering to Krishna. When we mean surrender, we don't like this word surrender because which means we think we lose our independence. It means we are forced to do it. But surrendering to Krishna is our ultimate benefit because he is our ultimate well-wisher. He knows exactly about the material world. He knows about all living entities. He knows about time. He knows about activities. So that is the most confidential knowledge. Krishna has given Arjuna the confidential knowledge of Brahman, a still more confidential knowledge of the super soul, and now is giving the most confidential knowledge of surrendering and Supreme Personality of Godhead. Just like a person, for example, he can read all the books and try to get knowledge, or he can attend some course where one teacher is there and 30 students are there, or he may get personal tutoring. So like that, Krishna is taking him closer and closer. Again, here my supreme instruction. Now Krishna is going to reveal his the most supreme instruction, Paramam Vachaha. He has told so many things. And what is the ultimate instruction I want you to give? The most confidential knowledge, the most beneficial, Sarva Guhya Tamam, which easily people do not grasp it. I speak this for your benefit. So, because why? You are my very dear friend, Ishta. Because all along, it's not that suddenly Arjuna became a friend of Krishna. Even in his previous life and in the forever, he is an eternal associate. Why? Having faith in my authority. Also in the 10th chapter, Krishna told Param Brahma, Param Dhamma, Pavitram, Paramam Bhavan. And then he told why he accepts Krishna as Paramam, Param Bhavan, Adi Devam, Ajam Vibham, Ahustvam Rishay Sarve. So Sarva Guhyatamam Bhuya, Srinume Paramam Vachaha, Ishtosi Me Dridamiti. What are the qualifications? Arjuna is Ishta and Dridam. Ishta means dear and firm faith. So we should, Tato Vakshyami Te Hitam. Just like if you want to get the best knowledge, you should have faith in that person and you should have faith in that knowledge also. Krishna tells Arjuna to again Bhuyaha. Bhuya means here. The supreme and most secret knowledge greater than he said in 1862. Because he has already revealed at the end of chapter 9. Chapter 9 itself is known as the Rajavidya and king of all knowledge. There he has said, Manmanabhav Madbhakto Madhyaji Mam Namaskuru Maveshesi Satyam Te Atmayam Matparayanaha. In fact, it's the essence of all scriptures. There's no secret greater than this in any place, from any cause, by any means. So it's the conclusive. So what is that? Again he repeats, Manmana Bhava Madbhakto. Manmana means always think of me. Bhava Madbhakto means become my devotee, means you attempt, you try to, any options Krishna has given, you try to become a devotee. It's not that you are a devotee now itself. You slowly, step by step. Then Madhyaji, Aji means worship me. Worship means you utilize your body, whatever God has given it, you utilize it to serve him. Mam Namaskuru, offer your respects to me. Always remember that you are dependent on the Lord. Mam Eveshyasi Satyam Te. In the previous verse, Mam Eveshyasi Yuktam. You always be united with me in yoga. And this way you will come to me in the 9th chapter, 31st verse. Pratijane Priyosme. Thus you will come to me without fail. Is assuring, giving assurance to Arjuna, if you do these 4 things of thinking about me, becoming my devotee, worshiping me, and offer respects me, you will surely come to me. Spontaneously you will come. I need not force you. Without fail, there's no Neha Bikramana Taite Mahatabha. Krishna says there's no loss in this devotion. By becoming a devotee, you don't lose anything. You can gain more and more only. Pratijane Priyosime. Priyosime, because you are my very dear friend. I promise you this, Pratijane, Priyo, promise you. Krishna makes a promise he will never break. Manmana, or concentration of the mind on Krishna, because mind is given by Krishna. If we utilize it to remember Krishna, then it will be our friend. But if you use the mind for something to remember something else, then it becomes our enemy. Because that is the most confidential part of knowledge. The most confidential part of knowledge is how to use my mind. Because the original form of Godhead, Krishna, is with 2 hands carrying. To understand that God is a person, that he can relate with us, he is our well-wisher, he is the proprietor of all the planets, he knows everything, he is the beneficial of sacrifices and austerities. So how does he look? He's a bluish boy with a beautiful face and peacock feathers in his fruit. There should be no doubts about who is God and how does he look and what is his name, form, qualities, and activities. So Krishna is again convincing Arjuna, although he saw this in the 11th chapter. So what is the conclusion of Bhagavad Gita? Surrender to Krishna. Surrender with full knowledge. It's not that whimsically we accept Krishna as God or Bhagavad Gita. It's a science. Sarva dharman parityajya. Dharman means we have so many religious principles. People are telling you do this, you will get this benefit. This is the best thing for you. Dharman means what is my nature. We may think you may have our own conceptions about who I am and what I am supposed to do. But Krishna is saying, I have taught you all the different processes, but you can reject them, parityajya, give up all varieties of religion. All that I have told you is, even if you cannot follow, mam ekam sharanam braja. Just surrender unto me alone, not to demigods and any other processes like other than bhakti. Just only to me is sufficient. What is the benefit? Aham tvam sarvapapebhyo. I will deliver from all sinful reactions. All along, we have been accustomed to doing the wrong thing and creating the unwanted reactions. So that process can be stopped when you take surrender of the purest of the pure. Even the demigods, they are not pure. Their benefits they give is also not pure. Therefore, Krishna is saying, I shall deliver you from all sinful reactions. What is sinful reaction? When we do against our nature, we end up creating obstacles. So I will deliver you from moksha ishyami machujaha. Do not fear or worry. Moksha means you become free. Always, whenever you fear, you do mistakes. And by doing mistakes, we become even more fearful and we start worrying. So therefore, Krishna says, if you take full surrender to me and direction from me, Krishna described in Gita various kinds of knowledge, Brahman, Paramatma, Varnashrama, Sannyasa, Tyaga, sense and mind control, meditation. So someone may say, you talk so much in Bhagavad Gita, I think it's not at all practical for me. Therefore, Krishna understands very well that even after hearing all this, people will say that they cannot follow all this. So therefore, he's saying, ultimately, now in concluding the Gita, he says, Arjuna should give up all such process and simply surrender to Krishna. If you do this, then all that is not required. That is the intention of Krishna. He has given us because he put up all the choice before us. And just like if you go to a showroom and he will say all this, he will describe, and then finally you become confused and ask him, can you please suggest what is the best for me? Then that person will come forward. So through Arjuna, Krishna is instructing the whole world because Arjuna is the most qualified disciple. Taking Arjuna as the means, one should give up anxiety for one's own welfare and that of the others. All along we are in anxiety. Okay, when will I be infected or what will happen to my family members? And so one Krishna is saying, just surrender in Krishna by one's thoughts and actions, in contentment. Wholeheartedly, one should accept Krishna in body, mind, and words. One should confidently accept Krishna as the supreme savior of all living entities. You may say, oh, so many people are dying, they are also devotees. No, Krishna knows, just like in the battlefield, even devotees died. But Krishna has already knows the destiny of the people who are dying, who were there. And with faith and love. Faith means you have faith, but you are not doing any activity. Love means you start doing positive activity, you render service. So it is not just within your heart, you express it also. Krishna has accepted the burden of protecting such surrendered souls and freeing them from all sin, and this is samsara. So Krishna takes the burden, just as if we take some responsibility for doing devotion, Krishna also takes the burden for delivering us. Having completed his teaching, Krishna will now speak of the glory of the Gita and the result of hearing it. Falashruti. After giving any information, we have to tell them what is the benefit. Given the instructions of the scriptures of the Gita, the Lord now indicates the process for passing on this knowledge. The real benefit if you get when you give it to others. What is the glory of studying and teaching Bhagavad Gita? The teachings of Gita are not, but at the same time, Krishna gives a warning that these are not to be given to those who are atapaskaya, not austere and sense-controlled. Just like if you give some money to a person who is not austere or self-controlled, he will simply waste it. And he will not get the benefit. So Krishna says to give this knowledge also, we have to train a person to become qualified. And abhaktaya, without true devotion, even after you tell him if he doesn't follow, then it's a waste of time. So he says, don't waste your time in people who will not follow this Bhagavad Gita or don't intend to follow. Asrushaye, unwilling to hear or not engaged in obedience service. Some people, they may look like hearing, but they are not accepting it. And then even if they accept it, they are not willing to implement it in practice. Then abhyasuyati. Asuyati means envious of me. Okay, he has said so many things, let me do something exactly opposite to what he has told. So this is enviousness. So Krishna is indirectly is warning us that we should overcome these shortcomings of lack of austerity, self-control, lack of true devotion, unwillingness to hear, unwillingness to engage or implement in practice, or despising. What are the benefits? Ya idam paramam guhyam. One who explains the supreme secret, ya idam, this supreme secret, uh, Madbhakteshu abhidhasyati. To whom does she give the secret? To my devotees. So just like you are hearing, that is means you are already a devotee. I am speaking means I am practicing devotee. So to hearing itself is a qualification. One who explains the supreme secret of Bhagavad Gita to my devotees, Bhaktim Maye Param Kritva. What is the benefit? You'll attain pure devotional service. You'll become more and more perfect in devotion and practicing this Bhagavad Gita. Mam evaishyati asamshaya. He'll come back to me without doubt. What is coming back to Krishna means exactly he will follow what Krishna wants him to do, or how he can benefit by Krishna's instruction. Nacha tasman manushyeshu. There's no servant in this world. Kaschin me priyakritamaha. Bhavita nacha me tasmat anya priyataro bhuvi. So such a person becomes most dear to me. There's no servant in this world more dear to me than he, nor will there ever be one more in the future. So if you have become a devotee and perfectly following his instruction, there's nothing more to achieve in life. Because Krishna becomes your servant, just like he became the chariot driver for Arjuna, and he became the servant of Yudhishthira Maharaja. So benefits, what are the benefits of studying? Because the one who studies Adhyashyati. Adhyashyati means studies, which means you should have to apply some time, energy to understand in depth this sacred conversation, Dharmyam Sambadam. So what is this conversation? It is conversation is for our benefit. What we should do, what we should not do, what if we do, what will be a benefit, what are the problems with not doing something, what is the problem if you don't act according to nature or go against the nature. That's why it is sacred. One who studies this sacred conversation, sacred means it is for our benefit. That is the meaning of sacred. Normally people think sacred means, okay, I have to keep away from it because I'm not so sacred. Sacred means it is sacrosanct, means something which has to be done for our benefit. He worships me by his intelligence or sacrifice of knowledge. He is making the best use of his intelligence. Jnana yajna. Yajna means you should do something for benefit. What is the benefit of knowledge that you have to attain? So what is the benefits? One who listens with faith, Shraddhavan, and Anasuya without envy. What is envious means? Who hear it and not practice it. So he becomes one who hears it and also practices it. He becomes free from sinful reactions, which means he knows the perfection of action. He knows how to do actions perfectly. And then what is the benefit? He attains the auspicious planets where the pious dwell. He will get the association of people who are also perfect. Right now, we want to be perfect, but we are surrounded by people who are not so perfect. So we are not able to progress. But if you at least hear with faith and without envious, then even if you don't follow it perfectly also, you will get the association of people who are trying to perfect their life. So Krishna said that, yeah. So either by teaching Gita or by studying the Gita or at least hearing the Gita, 3 levels are there you can serve. Either you can teach Gita, you can just study for your understanding, or you just hear. Even if you don't understand, you don't teach, one will attain great transcendental results. Ultimately, you will be the benefit. So what is that? Now, in summary, Arjuna is going, we hear realizations of Arjuna. Lord Krishna asked Arjuna, have you heard this with an attentive mind? Krishna is asking Arjuna, have you understood this with an attentive mind? Ekagrena chetasa. Are your ignorance, ajnana, and bewilderment, sammoha, now dispelled? Because in the beginning of Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna told, Shishyasteham shadimam tvam prapannam. Karpanya dosho pahatas subhava prichami tvam dharma sammoda cheta. Yanishchitam bruhitanme shishyasteham shadivampram. He is confused about your duty and bewildered. And, as per Arjuna, Krishna acted as his guru. Then Krishna, when Arjuna said that he surrenders to him, and Krishna taught him the Gita. Now Krishna is beautifully asking his student whether he understood the Bhagavad Gita in its proper perspective. If not, Krishna was ready to re-explain it. So that's why the devotion, even if you don't understand, the spiritual master tries to explain it again. Just like if you go to some course and you don't understand, they'll give you 0 mark. And they will say just to repeat the course, or that's the end of it. But in bhakti, even if you fail, God is giving you many opportunities to perfect it. He will not leave you until you become perfect. And now Arjuna is giving his feedback. Just like at the end of the course, we are asking you a feedback. Arjuna informed Krishna of his realization. Nashto moha. Nashta means dispelled. Moha means illusion. What was his illusion? Or whether he should fight or not, whether he will die or live, whether he will lose or gain, whether what is dharma, adharma, all this illusion was there. And smriti labdva, I regained my memory. So regained my memory means he already knew some what is right and wrong, but at that moment he forgot. So now when he heard from Krishna, he understood exactly that this is what I am supposed to do. Tvat prasadan mayachyuta. How is it possible? Tat prasadan, by your mercy. It means by hearing you, I could please you, and then I could give you this knowledge. Achyuta means infallible. From whom did he get? From the infallible Lord. Stitosmi gata sandeha. Sthita means situated. Asmi means I. Gata sandeha. Free from. Gata means free. Sandeha means doubts. Doubts are always coming. For all the intelligent people also get doubts. But the intelligent person, he tries to clear that doubt. He doesn't go ahead with the doubts. Because he knows that doubt is there. Sometime it will create an obstacle. And karishye vachanam tava. How does he express that he is free from doubt? I am ready to follow instructions. Whatever instructions you told me, I understood them, and I understood the benefit of following and not following. So now I have decided to follow your instructions. So Krishna consciousness means acting according to Krishna's order. The constitutional position of lingua entity represented by Arjuna is to act in such Krishna consciousness. So basically, what is Krishna consciousness? You are conscious about the supreme absolute truth. What is eternal, what is knowledge, and what will give me happiness, and what will ensure that I have a permanent situation. What else can I ask? Having given up all duties, surrendering to you completely, without worries, I now completely trust you and follow your orders. So all along, Arjuna was confused about his duties. Now he understood that his supreme duty is to follow the instructions of Krishna, and similarly, all living entities can do the greatest duty by following Krishna. Now, so Dhritarashtra had inquired from Secretary Sanjaya about the scene on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, and how was Sanjaya able to witness that? By the grace of his Guru Vyasadeva. And how was it possible? Within his heart, sitting where he was, just like Arjuna saw the Vishwarupa in the body of Krishna. Similarly, Sanjaya could witness the entire scene on the battlefield and the conversation between Arjuna and Krishna while sitting before Dhritarashtra by the mercy of his Guru. Just like now quantum mechanics, they is going very advanced. How a person can be sitting in one place, can view things which are happening distant. Right now also we are seeing and hearing things in tele, but much more advanced is coming even without going to the other place. Supposing you have to see something, the camera should be there in the other place, or the microphone should be in the other end. Then only you can hear or see. But quantum mechanics is going so far that even without going to that place, you can move space and time, and you can see what happened in the past or future or any place. So likewise, Sanjaya knew this science because consciousness, everything is linked to consciousness. Even quantum mechanics is linked to consciousness. This way, advancement is going. So what is the realization of Sanjaya? We heard the realization of Arjuna. He had heard the conversation of Krishna Arjuna that I heard is so wonderful, Adbhutam. He has never heard such conversation before. And my hair is standing on end, Roma Harshanam. The hair stands on end when we are fearful and joyful. So here is joyful. And how was it possible? He is remembering the Guru, Vyasadeva. Guru, he gives knowledge. By that knowledge, you can see and hear. What we cannot hear with our ears and see with our eyes, we can hear and see by receiving proper knowledge. Just like you're a doctor, You straight away don't go and operation a patient. You hear from a qualified doctor, then you understand. I have heard the most confidential talks on Bhakti Yogam directly from the master of all mysticism, Krishna, who was speaking personally to Arjuna. Even though Sanjay was not present in front of Krishna, and whatever Arjuna benefited, the same benefit Sanjaya could get from Krishna because of his guru Vyasadeva. So we may say, I am not in the presence of Krishna, I don't have a guru like Krishna or a guide like Krishna for Arjuna. But if we have a qualified guru, then we get the same benefit of what Arjuna got. And I repeatedly recall this wonderful conversation. So what is the benefit of hearing something like Bhagavad Gita? You will constantly remember that. Generally, you read something, you want to forget it. You write an exam and forget that. Many students are there, they get top grades in that subject. After some time, you ask him what you studied, you will not recollect. But Bhagavad Gita is not like that. For example, I have read this Bhagavad Gita 25 years non-stop, not less than 25 times. Each time Bhagavad Gita 1,000 pages. And not like this, 100 books are there. So I take pleasure being thrilled at every moment. So it is thrilling. This Bhagavad Gita is thrilling because it is science. You can see it in practical application. As I remember Krishna's wonderful form, Rupam Atyadbhutam Hare. Because he heard the Bhagavad Gita, he is able to remember the form of Krishna also. Just like if you like some person, if you hear his voice, immediately remember his form. So by hearing Bhagavad Gita, you can recollect the form of Krishna, the name, qualities, and activities. I'm struck with wonder, Vismaya, more and more. And rejoice, Hrishyami, repeatedly, and my hair stand on it again and again. So he is now what is the last verse? Very important verse. The amazing combination of Krishna and Arjuna, the perfect master and the perfect student. Then you get the ultimate benefit. Yatra Yogeshwara Krishna, whereas the Krishna, the master of all mystics. Master of all mystics means he is the perfect scientist. He knows everything perfectly. Mysticism means something is a mystery for us. But the person who knows the science, it is not a mystery. So he is the master of all mysteries. Whatever we may not know, even Brahma may not know, he knows that perfectly. So he is the Yogeshwara. Yatra Partho Dhanuddhana. Partha means Arjuna. He is the son of Pritha or Kunti. Why? What was Kunti? Kunti was the greatest devotee of Krishna. Yatra Partha, where there is a perfect devotee, Dhanuddharaha. Dhanuddhara means he had his bow and arrows. He had all the facilities to act according to Krishna's instruction. So Krishna empowers a devotee to follow his instructions and implement and benefit. So that was the qualification of Arjuna. He was a perfect student. And Tatra Shrir, Vijaya, Bhuti, Dhruva, Nitya. Shri means opulence. There are 6 opulences: strength, fame, knowledge, beauty, renunciation, and wealth. So these are 6 opulences and prosperity. There you can find, and Vijaya means victory. Bhuti means power, extraordinary power. Dhruva means always, so certainly. And Niti means morality. And Matir Mama, my opinion. That's what Sanjay is saying. Dhritarashtra was hopeful of the victory of his sons, assisted by great warriors like Bhishma, Drona, and Karna. But after describing the scene on the battlefield, Sanjay directly confirmed to him that victory will be on the side of Pandavas due to the presence of Krishna and Arjuna. So, in one sense, our future is predictable. If you follow the present perfectly, forget about the past, but if you can change your future if you act perfectly in the present, and that is possible if you follow the instructions of Bhagavad Gita. So any questions or comments? I wanted to summarize the entire Bhagavad Gita, but time is short. Maybe I will not do that now. What I'm offering is we can have one more complimentary session where I will invite my spiritual master who has been teaching me for the past 25 years. Whatever I learned from him, I try to present to the best of my ability. But I thought if you hear from him, you'll get a comprehensive understanding of Bhagavad Gita in less than 1 hour, maybe half an hour. And then half an hour, we'll announce the names of the persons who can get the certificate. Of course, this course is not meant to just give a certificate. We hope you benefited by the knowledge of this Bhagavad Gita. And we'll be continuing it in future also. So there's one question here. Once you surrender to Krishna with bhakti, how can a devotee feel his presence? Yeah, Krishna's presence can be felt in different ways. One is through the scriptures. Wherever scriptures are, when we are reading scriptures like Bhagavad Gita, we can feel the presence of Krishna. And because Krishna is something to be realized. That's why Krishna is telling supreme absolute truth means you can realize him everywhere and through knowledge and through happiness. So, Krishna can be realized through the scriptures. Krishna can be realized through the presence of all the devotees who are practicing this Bhagavad Gita, and through the joy, the happiness we get from practicing bhakti. So, summary of Bhagavad Gita, if you want in a very short way, first is association. Krishna is talking about association. This bhakti, just like if you want to become a doctor or a scientist or whatever, you need association. Similarly, to practice bhakti, you need association. That is A. And then you need books. In Kali Yuga especially, we are by nature we forgetful. So there are books to be read and understood and practiced. And that is B. And the C is we have to chant. Krishna is saying, Japa knows me, in the Bhagavad Gita 10th chapter, there are the names of Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. These names have to be chanted. That is C. And then D is the diet. Diet is we are the what we eat. That's a common saying. If you, as we follow the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna talked about the different types of food. If you follow that instruction carefully, especially if you yatkaroshi yadashnasi yajjuhoshi dadasi yat Krishna told, whatever you eat, you offer it to me. So we have to eat sattvic food, and then that is diet. And the E is the exercise. We have to exercise. We have to practice this Bhagavad Gita. So for that we need guidance. In simple ways you can practice. So one can feel Krishna's presence in the deity. One can feel Krishna's presence in the holy name. One can feel Krishna's presence in the holy places. One can feel Krishna's presence in the books and the association of devotees and while doing devotion. So please kindly give the, we have circulated the application form for filling up the certificates. So basically we want your details, and then you can please give us a feedback on what you liked or didn't like or how we can improve in future. Maybe in future we'll do a thematic presentation. We'll take themes from important themes from Bhagavad Gita and present it. We did a shloka based presentation. Of course, the advantage of this is doing the shlokas is that we can apply it in any situation because different scenario. But once you make it a theme based, it's a limiting the Bhagavad Gita. But still people like it that way. So maybe we'll do like that. Any quick feedback, comments, questions, you can welcome. The very quick summary of the Bhagavad Gita is that there are 3 sections to Bhagavad Gita. One is the first 6 chapters are Karma Yoga, that is how to work and be worshipped. And then middle 6 chapters are Bhakti Yoga, talking about devotion, pure devotion. And the last 6 chapters are Jnana Yoga. This Karma Yoga and Jnana Yoga, they are favorable to Bhakti Yoga, the middle 6 chapters. First chapter is talking about Arjuna observing the armies on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. First, what is our problem? We have to understand it through the eyes of scripture. Then Krishna gives a summary of the whole Bhagavad Gita in the 2nd chapter by giving Sankhya Yoga, a difference between the soul and the body, and talks about Karma Yoga, how to do action, and then talks about Jnana Yoga, and then about Bhakti Yoga or Buddhi Yoga. The 3rd chapter, Krishna talked about the different types of Karma Yoga, that is Sakama Karma Yoga, with the desires and without desires and on the transcendental platform. And then he talked about the Jnana Yoga, that is 4th chapter is transcendental knowledge, because when to renounce some activity and when to do an activity, that one can know only through knowledge. And this knowledge, Krishna says, it is coming through Parampara from ancient time immemorial. Krishna spoke this to Bhagavad Gita, to Sun God. And by this knowledge, one can become free from all sins. And then even if someone is not perfect, eventually he will become perfect. And with this knowledge, one can realize that Krishna is the well-wisher, is the enjoyer, uh, is the proprietor. And then one goes towards Dhyana Yoga, and that is you. Here emphasizes the importance of the mind control. So Dhyana Yoga means the mind is not controlled, it's our enemy. Mind is controlled, it's our friend. And therefore Krishna tells about suitable practice and detachment. And so there are different stages in the yoga process, beginning stage and the advanced stage. And the advanced stage, one realizes that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Having said that, in the middle 6th chapter, Krishna talks about how he is uh, he reveals knowledge about jnanam and vijnanam, material and spiritual knowledge. And he talks about the 4 types of souls who surrender to him and 4 who do not surrender to him. And then he talks about the Om, U and Im. That is then 8th chapter, Krishna talking about how to attain the abode of the Lord. While remembering Krishna throughout his life and at the time of death, he will otherwise one will have to go to higher planets or come back to the same planet which is full of miseries. And then in the 9th chapter, Krishna reveals about the confidential knowledge, most confidential knowledge about pure bhakti. Why? By doing bhakti, it is Rajavidya Rajaguhyam, Pavitram, Idam purest, and it directly perceived, and it is the king of knowledge, uh, purifying. And even if someone falls down in this process, Krishna says eventually one will become perfect. So how is this possible? By understanding the opulences of Lord Krishna. Arjuna wanted to know the opulence of Krishna by which he could meditate on him all the time. So then Krishna revealed his opulences, how he can perceive in this world. And then Arjuna wanted to know how Krishna is pervading the entire universe and maintaining it. So then Krishna revealed his universal form, where he showed what will be the future of or outcome of this battle. And then he revealed to him that this two-handed form which he was seeing is the most sought after. Then the 12th chapter, Arjuna wanted to know whether one should accept the personal form of God or worship the impersonal feature. Then Krishna elaborated on the personal form of the God, how to engage in devotional service in different ways, and then how devotee is very dear to him. In 13th chapter, he talked about nature, enjoy, and consciousness. That is the material nature, the soul and super soul, and consciousness, and the 20 elements of knowledge. What is knowledge and what is ignorance? And then he concluded by saying that this 3 modes of material nature, they cause ignorance. So that he's elaborating in the 14th chapter, and he's also explaining that by bhakti, one can transcend the 3 modes. And then one may ask, in the 15th chapter, Arjuna wanted to know that to how does one develop this bhakti. So then Krishna explained that this material world is compared to a banyan tree, and only by knowledge we can free ourselves from the influence of the 3 modes. And he talks about the uh, fallible, infallible souls, the Paramatma, and the Supreme Lord. In the 16th chapter, he talked about the divine and demonic natures. If we ignore this, the influence of the 3 modes, and we don't follow scriptures, then we end up either we acquire divine qualities or demonic qualities. So he's emphasizing the importance of following the scriptures. 17th chapter, Arjuna asked Krishna that if I don't choose to follow the scriptures and I follow according to my own belief system, what will be the outcome? Then Krishna said, if you follow according to your nature, it will be within the 3 modes, and that will not be stable. Your faith will not be stable, and therefore you cannot progress. So therefore Krishna talks about the supreme absolute truth, Om Tat Sat, and we have to do everything for the pleasure of Lord Krishna. And how to please Krishna is elaborated in this 18th chapter, which is the perfection of renunciation. Krishna talked about the 3 modes, tyaga, renunciation in the 3 modes, the 5 factors of action, knowledge, worker, intelligence, determination, happiness, and how one can purify himself through following the Varnashrama. And then Krishna talk about the Brahmabhuta stage, the Paramatma realization and Bhagavan realization, and surrender to Krishna. And this way you can achieve all success. Hare Krishna. One question is here. Thank you very much. We'll please fill in the forms for the certificate and give your feedback. We'll request you to